All right. Is that better?
Is that
Now,
better?
okay, I'm sorry. But I just wanted to say, I wanted to come up before Gay really got into it and just share my heart a little bit that coming here, I mean, when you're running and stretch and just coming up here on the hill and just, it's like coming home in some respects. And we really look at this as part of our home. And and we want to, I remember Tim way back when he would come to Eagle Church, his young guy would get up there and start talking about what God's doing up on this hill, and there'd be different groups that would come up, and I think we were in youth ministry at the time when all that had happened, and little did we know that eventually we'd have another hill in Kenya that we were working on. But in those days, we found ourselves in Kenya. We went there and we went to this area God had taken us to where was really hurting spiritually and physically. This is like in 2007. Gail will go into a lot of it, but I wanted to tell you we came back from that trip and you know it was she'll go into some of the details, but needless to say, it was a very, very needed area. And we came back and we did what every good Christian would do. We went and called everybody we knew that could go and help these people. But God had other ideas, and He put on our hearts that no, I'm not asking you to do this. Because Gay looks at me and says, well, I'll just let you tell this story. So I just wanted to say, my heart is here. We love you guys. And I'll let Gay tell that story.
Okay, we are John and Gaye Maycris. We have Shalom Christian Missions, which started an orphanage in 2007 in a very remote part of Kenya. So that kind of gives you an idea who we are. I don't know if this will stay here. Can you hear me? Good? Okay. I'm going to move over here so you can see the slides. But I just want to give a quick review on how this all started, how it happened. I know many of you know this story, but maybe some people that are listening don't know how we started and what God has been doing. And then I'll give you an update of some of the things that God has been leading us to do, and the changes that are taking place are quite miraculous, and we just give Him all the glory because it's nothing to do with us, nothing. It's all to do with Him, and we give Him the glory for that. Can you hear? Oh. So how did this all happen? And that's why I have a little slideshow. Oh, I think I turned it back. No, I think I turned it off.
Go the other way. You had it.
What did I do? There. Is it on? Okay. So God first took me to Kenya in 2004 with the church where I was serving in the youth ministry to take a group over there and check out a ministry that was taking place at the time. And that's what really took me to Kenya. I never had a desire to go to Africa. In fact, I never had a desire to leave the United States. It was not in my heart that was what God wanted me to do. When my son wanted to go on the mission field at 13, he said to me, "You should go on the foreign mission field, Mom," because I'd worked with youth and taken them all over the United States on the mission field. And I said, "No, God's not calling me to leave America. I'm good right here. Thank you." And then I went with him to see who he was going with when he went on his first trip. And that's where God broke my heart for the world. And the next year I was on a plane going to Russia, which in my mind, I was raised during the Cold War. Russia was the enemy. And I was like, why am I going to Russia on my first foreign mission trip out of the country? And God showed me on that trip that people are people. We all have the same needs, wants, desires, and we all need Jesus. And that's where He really broke my heart again for people in the world, that they need to know who He is and they need His love. They need to see His love manifested. And that was where we can become the hands and feet of Jesus. And so that opened the door then. I did many other mission trips, and I ended up in Africa in 2004, and the children here broke my heart. case you don't know where Kenya is, it's on the eastern coast of Africa, right over there. And if you want to know where we're located, we are way over here, right by Lake Victoria. That is where New Beginnings is located. It's in a very remote part of Kenya. We're up on a hill that's actually an ancient volcano. And yeah, we have the hill too in Kenya. When God took us there, we didn't know it at the time, but this was the highest HIV/AIDS place in all of Kenya. Homa Bay County, the county that we're in, was the highest county for HIV/AIDS in Kenya, and this particular area, they told us was the highest. Probably 90% of the people here had AIDS or had HIV, and that made the orphan rate as high, just as high. When we first got there in 2007, most of the people didn't know what AIDS was. They didn't know what HIV was. And if you brought the subject up, they were all listening because to them it was the curse. And they didn't know what the curse was that was killing their people. In 2009, God took us to this hillside. That's when we actually moved to the hill. And these are the community people that I work closely with. They are landowners. They're like my brothers and sisters. They're my people, is what I tell them. You are my people. And so I work with them very closely. My heart breaks when their heart breaks, and we just try to help them with whatever we can. But these are the people donated some land to start the mission there. And it was out of this hillside, which they gave us the hillside because it was rocky, it was not able to be farmed, they really didn't use it, so they said, yeah, you can have this land here. But it was perfect for what God wanted to do. And a house of hope was born. This is where we first started. And you can see down there the little house. It's actually, we call it the big house. But that was our first home that was built there in 2010. Many of you know we fought the enemy many times in many battles because when you're trying to do something that God wants you to do, can I just tell you, get ready, because the enemy's going to come against you in any way that he can, and he's going to try and stop you. So you have to kind of start to look at it as, okay, I think I'm doing what God wants, because now the enemy's really trying to block it again. And the more that we put into it, the more we just obeyed God and followed him, the more children he brought to New Beginnings. In 2011, we started a primary school. We started trying to first send the children to the public school, only the public school in the area. The teachers would come in maybe at 10, leave at noon, and that was it. So there was very little education taking place. Our children, we realized if they wanted a quality education, we were going to have to start a school. And that was what prompted us to start our primary school. American missionaries came and they stayed on the ground longer and tried to help get things going after 2012 because we realized we needed to keep a close watch on what was taking place. Is this the right one? This seems like it might not be. Anyway, we built a mud house for our missionaries to stay in. So for 2 years when we went over there, this is what we stayed in. We had a mud house that was made of sticks and mud. And the mud that they use, it's a special kind of mud, and you mix it with animal dung. And that is what your mud house is made of. So it didn't look like very much when we first built it, but we had no idea at that point what God was doing. We were walking in obedience. God said, go and do it. And like he said, we said, how can we do this? We don't know how to do it. And God said to us, I'm not asking you to do it. I'm asking you to witness what I'm going to do. And that is what we do today. That's why we're here. We're just here as a witness for God. This is what God's doing. It's not what we're doing. As I said, in 2012, we started the classes. We started first just with the preschool classes, and then we opened up to 8th grade because we knew our kids needed a good education. And God just kept bringing more children. The classrooms weren't much. They had dirt floors and iron sheets, but you can see the crowds that we were getting. The children wanted an education, and so they came. This is more what our classrooms look like today. We now have permanent classrooms for all of our classes, and the children we really strive. Our goal is to make our school a national level school in Kenya, which is the highest education that they can get, and that is our goal, to become that. And we're starting to see the fruit of that labor. In 2014, we opened up our high school, which they call a secondary school, and we started with just 9th and 10th grade. And then we soon added and have now up to 12th grade there. So our school started in 2014, and that's where it is today. We have about 100 high school students that are attending. We've had about 200 students graduate from our high school since we started it. And this past year, in 2022, we had 22 students in our high school class, in our 12th grade class. And out of those, 14 qualified to go on to university. So that was a huge, huge deal. We were really excited. One of our former students is on social media, and she posted right away when she saw this. She said, "New Beginnings is a city on a hill, a light in the darkness." And that really touched my heart, that they're realizing this is changing lives. This is making a difference. Now, we lived in the mud house for 2 years, then we opened these, became our next mission houses. In fact, I still live in one of those rooms, but it's changed quite a bit. It's a lot more comfortable. But these are our new mission houses that we opened in 2021. And the nice thing about these is they have running water, flush toilets. We're stepping up. And we have our own personal dining room for our missionaries and our teams, and our own personal kitchen. In 2013, this was scrawled on one of the stones outside of one of the dormitories for the kids, and it just said, "Home." And that meant a lot to us, because it meant they're starting to see this as home. This was a place they felt safe. Our dormitories, the boys' dormitories, has 3 different rooms, and we have about 100 boys that reside there. There's a room for the youngest children, a room for the upper elementary, and then a room for high school. The original houses are administrative offices and our primary girls' dorm. The primary girls' dorm houses about 40 girls from newborn age up to 6th grade. About 5 years ago, the government asked us, because we work very closely with the government, and they came to us and said, "Will you please become a rescue center for us?" A rescue center was when we take children in, or we find children that are in very bad situations. Can we bring them here for a safe place for them to stay until we figure out what to do with them? Usually that means they stay until we figure out what to do with them. But this has been a program that has really changed what we are doing. It's changed our whole mindset. Often we get pregnant girls that come in that have been defiled or raped, and they're pregnant. As long as they don't abort their baby, we will take care of them and help with their baby so they can continue in school, because we want them to get an education, but we really value life, and we teach them the value of life. We've added a junior high school dormitory. That houses about 40 girls. And I just got to tell you, all of these dormitories right now are packed full. And that is why right now we have a push to try and build some more dormitories, because we can't fit any more children there to live there without more space. We have a high school girls dormitory. You can see how these beds are triple. And so you've got all those beds typically are filled up. This one has a little bit of space in it, so we have some space to grow there, but our boys' dormitory is packed solid. Our administrative side of the house provides space for our offices. We have a big reception room in there that also doubles as a playroom for the children. It's a study room in the evenings for the children. It's well used. It's not just a reception. We have a staff of about 55 to 60 Kenyans that really are the ones who run it. I work closely with them when I'm over there, but they're the ones have to do the job. They're the ones work there. This is part of our child welfare department. This past year, I'll just give you an update on this while I'm here. This past year, we changed our whole administrative. And instead of having a top director, we went with 4 directors. And we have a director of child welfare. We have a director of education. We have a director of operations. And we have a director of finance. And they have to all learn to work together so that everything runs smooth. And then over top of them, we have a manager. Now, the manager's job is not to run all those departments, but just to make sure they're all working together. We meet with this team once a week, whether I'm there or not, because, hey, COVID brought some good things in, and Zoom is one of those. So you have the Zoom meetings, and we do a Zoom meeting with them every week just to make sure they're staying on task and everything is being discussed and everybody understands what's going on. Now, our welfare department, I'll just go back there. When we talk about child welfare, these are the ones who handle the welfare of every student or every child that comes in there. Their job isn't education, their job is the welfare of the child. And we do a lot with integrating. We have social workers that are in this meeting here. This is one of their weekly briefings that they do just to kind of get everybody on task of this is what we're going to do this week. So we have social workers here, we have our house parents here. We have one of our interns who is working, she's going to school to be a social worker. She's in that group there too. So that's a very busy group. But God's not just about building buildings, he's about changing lives. And where there was once no hope, we have these children who are coming in and they're getting new life brought into them. They learn how to care and love about each other. They learn to be happy again. Some of them have to learn some discipline. Children are really getting an education. They're growing. They come in, and a lot of times these students, when they first come in to live with us, they'll hide food when they're in the dining hall in their pockets to take back to their dorm with them because they're used to not knowing if they'll get another meal. And so once they start to realize that they will be fed every day, several times, they start to relax, and we see that end. But I always kid them. I say, no, you can't take food in your dorm. That's a rule we have because it brings rats into your dorm. And the rats bring snakes. That's the one that will scare them. And they'll say, okay, I don't want food in there. So they have a place to be children again. They can have fun. We do teach them how to do chores and different things, but they do have time to play. They have time to relax. Most of these children, when they lived out in the community, if they're an orphan, they become a slave to someone. Just for that person to take care of them, they have to work. They don't get an education. They don't get to play. They work. And it's kind of sad to see it, but that's where they are. And like I said, there are so many orphans in the area because typically the grandparents there depend on their children to take care of them. That's how it is. So when they get older, their children should be taking care of them. Except in this area, you have a whole generation that's basically been wiped out due to AIDS. And so you have a grandmother who really needs someone to take care of her now has 10, 15, sometimes 20 grandchildren living with her because there's no one else to take care of them. So they don't have to worry about how their needs are being met anymore. They know it will be met, and they can focus on studying and getting an education. So New Beginnings is a place of hope in a dark part of Africa. We have become that city on a hill, the light in the darkness for so many of these. So we thank people like you who help us and work with us. And this is, I just want to show you this one. This is, remember the picture of the house there? And that's New Beginnings. That was actually about 2 years ago from down at the main road where you can kind of see we've grown quite a bit. And there's still some buildings on there that aren't on that picture. I think that was all on this slide, but before we go into the last one, Karibu. Karibu New Beginnings. So we welcome you. Karibu is Swahili for welcome. Welcome to New Beginnings. Come, join us. Join us in many ways. One of the big ways that you can help is to sponsor a child. These children, that's what they need. Our sponsorships start at $25 a month. We have $25, $50, and $100 sponsorship levels. You can go at any level that works for you. Whatever level you choose will help that child. So, we try to get people involved with it as much as possible. Consider in your heart. I just listened to a pastor the other day who said, I don't know if I can get it right. He said, we tell people, don't just give what you think you can give, but step out in faith and give what God wants you to give. So I'm going to say that to you too. Sometimes that's what we need to do. We need to step out in faith. When we went there, I had no idea what God was going to do, but the miracles that I have seen him do every single day just amaze me. I usually have, John knows, I get up, I'm an early riser, and I'm up between 4 or 5 in the morning, and I have my place where I go and sit up on the hill and have my quiet time, and it's just me and God in the dark a lot of times while the sun's coming up. And I'm in tears because sometimes I'm just like, I can't believe that you allow me to see this. And he lets me know, well, if you wouldn't have been obedient, you would have never seen this. Of course, there's also the times when things aren't going well, and we have an argument on that a little. But God's okay. He's really patient with us, can I tell you that? Okay, so before we go on the other one, I want to kind of update you a little bit on some of the things that we're doing different. Like I said, we've changed from having one director, and we now have the 4-director system, which is really starting to move things along, and they're making a lot of progress over there. We changed the way that we handle our children. We've changed it from the children come in to New Beginnings. Like I said, we deal with the rescue children a lot. We also have other children that come in. But our goal has now become to get them back into a family as soon as possible. We call it integration. We need to integrate them back into a family unit, whether it's an extended part of their family, whether it's counseling and training the family that they're coming out of, or if it's finding someone else totally unrelated to them that might be willing to let them come and live there. And what we do is they come to school, they board there, they stay with us during school time, but when school is on break, now they get to go and be part of that family. So it keeps them connected and feeling like they're part of a family, because any child is better off in a family than in an institution. And that's part of what we've come to realize, and we really want to make sure that they feel connected. We check on them. There's a whole process that we go through called our integration process that we've set up for them, for our staff over there in the welfare department. They do investigations to find homes that are safe for them. They do supervised visits for a while with them before they even allow the child to go for an unsupervised visit. So it's a whole process that we're going through, but we're seeing a lot of good results from it because the children feel like they're part of a family now instead of just being part of an institution. And even though we can make them feel like it's home and it's a safe place from where many of them came from, if we can get them back into a real home and a real family to feel part of that family, we've really improved their life. And now when they finish high school, they have a place to go because they can't live in a children's home forever. And so now they have a family that they're part of. And they do come back and visit with us quite a bit. They'll come back and see me, the ones who have finished and have gone on. But that family is vital to them. It's really vital that they have a family. So we've really worked hard on our integration and making sure these children are feeling part of a family unit. The other thing that we've done is we've started to realize that many of our children, when they get older and they leave the program, they have a real entitlement mentality. I think we see that in America quite a bit too. When you look at some of the college students and high school students, sometimes you see a real entitlement mentality there. Well, we were seeing that with them, and we sat down and discussed what can we do so that they don't feel so entitled, because when they go out in the world isn't going to just give them whatever they need. So we started a program so that when they reach a certain age, instead of just giving them the items that they need for school, they now work to get the money to go buy the items. And it's done several different things. It's taught them the value of work. You have to work for what you're going to get. Then they get the money, which they weren't handling money before, so now they have the money. We send them with somebody who's supervising them to go into market and do the shopping. So they've learned now how to negotiate, to do their shopping. They've learned how to buy things and budget. And they come back, and I'll say to them, so show me what you got. Now this child is beaming. Oh, I got this, and I got this, and they feel good. They feel like they actually did something to contribute to getting the items. And we're seeing a real change come about with that. They know that everything is not going to be handed to them. I do have to sit and chuckle sometimes. I mean, some of the things they buy would be like their soap, their toilet paper, and things like that. And I'll see one of them come in, and they'll be showing me the things they got. And they'll have one roll of toilet paper, and I'll be like, okay, let's see how many they buy next time. Because it's a learning process, and they're learning that there are certain things you need and certain things you might not need so bad in life. But this is a good lesson for them before they go on to if they're going on to college or university, because they're not going to get it otherwise. And they really need to have, this is a whole life skills thing that they're learning. We've also started a very strong intern program, which the kids, when they first graduate, they can come back as an intern where we pay them some little bit of money. They come and we have them work at the center, and a big part of what we have them do is tutor. They tutor the students who are struggling whenever we have time for them to tutor. So they come in and they do this. They manage their own money. We do a training class with them with life skills, because we realize this is missing a lot. They're not getting that in their school education. So we teach them basic life skills. We teach them what they're going to face when they go off to a university or college, or even just into the world. We teach them anything we can get into them before they leave, so that they're more prepared to face the world when they get out there. And that is really, really making a difference with them too as they go on to universities. This past year, I did tell you we had 22 students in our graduating class, and out of those we had 14 who qualified for colleges and universities. So we're really excited about that. We have kids now in universities all over Kenya. And they're excited. One girl, as she was leaving, the day before she was going to leave, she came to me. She had a letter that she wanted to give me, thanking. It was a thank you letter. And she just, when she handed it to me, she just spoke a little bit, and tears started coming up in her eyes. And she said, I just never, ever in my whole life imagined that one day I would have an opportunity to go to a university. So she was just so excited and so grateful, and that's what her letter was about. And that's because of people who help these kids. This is a life that was truly changed. We have kids that are coming out of the university now, and some of them are coming back, and we've given them jobs. They're teaching in our high school, they're teaching in our primary school. We have one that's working in our accounting department. We have some that are working in our kitchen that went to vocational school. So these kids are coming out and they're able to get jobs now, and they realize that life isn't so hopeless anymore for them. So this is because of people like you. This is what is making a difference. Last year, your underwear donation, or what do you call it?
Margie's underwear.
Margie's Underwear Fund was going towards a playground. You remember that? We're still working on that playground. In fact, it's been a long process, and we had some other projects that came in, But right now they're really trying to get it ready while school is out so they can have it ready for the kids when they return. But we've had to build up, we're on a hill, so everything has to be leveled and we have to try it. So we were leveling one area to make a volleyball field, and the dirt from that area was coming down to make a level area for the playground for the children. So they're still working on that. They're building a wall to retain all the dirt that's coming in to level it, and then we'll be ready to get some equipment on that. So we're excited about that, but it's in the making. It's there, I promise you. It's just, everything is done by hand there. We have no machinery that comes in and does anything, so all this dirt, when it's transferred, it's all done by buckets and wheelbarrows and things like that. So it's a process. And then we had our construction people were a little busy on some other things that took a more priority than that at the time. So the other thing we are doing is trying to make New Beginnings more self-sustaining. We've realized that what if something happened and we couldn't fund them? How can we keep this going? Because the community now is embracing it, the children are thriving. How can we keep this continuing? And so we came up with ways that we can begin to have it bring in some income that can help support it. One of the things that we've done is we built a store right by our gate that will service the community and it will service our staff, because many of our staff live within, and they'd like to have a store where they can go and buy a soda or something like that while they're there. The other thing we're doing is having more students who are boarding students. Those are students, maybe they're not the ones that are so needy that need a sponsor, but their parents can pay for them to come to school. Boarding school is common in Kenya. That's what people do. If you have the money, you send your child to a boarding school. That's why our kids feel that they're special, because they're going to a boarding school. But that is the norm in Kenya, for them to go to a boarding school. So as long as our school is doing well, which it is, and that's why we're getting more students in, these people are coming and asking, we want to put our children in this school. We want our children to go to this school. And that's bringing an income in to help pay for some of our teachers or whatever, and help to progress our school to make it better. One of the things we know we have to do to make our school become one of the top schools is get computer training. So we've been working on that. It was a challenge just this year to find a teacher who could come and teach that to our students, because most of the ones who go to university or colleges for technology, they either get snatched up by some of the big businesses or they start their own training business. So it's hard to find them, to get them in to come and teach the students how to do this. So we have managed to get one. We've got some computers over there. He's starting working with them on the basics, and we're hoping that will grow into more, that they'll be learning more in technology too, because that's the world. They have to know how to do that if they're going to survive in today's world. But I want to tell you, the lives that we're changing are unbelievable. We had one girl who, we're getting ready to send her off to university, and she was going to Nairobi. That's the big city. That is a Western city. And she said to me before she left, I've never been past Sori, which is 45 minutes from us. And I was like, oh no. She had never even seen a blacktop road. And we were going to send her where there are skyscrapers and you know, the bridges, what do you call them, all the fancy roads and different things, and she was really scared. She was like, I've never been past there, I'm scared. She's doing fine. She has survived there for 2 years now. She told me she takes the bus and gets it to the university, and that's where she stays. She said, I don't go anywhere else. I stay right here until I go home, then I go home. So she's doing very well there. Is there anything else that we've done different? I think I've tried to cover a lot of it. But those are a lot of the changes, other than we've had a lot more children coming in, really requesting and really having need, especially our children's office, the government children's office, moved an office into our local town. So instead of being 45 minutes away, they're now 5 minutes away. So that has brought a lot more children because people in our area never really knew where they could take children that were being abused or needed help so badly. So they bring them to him, he brings them to us. And we actually cover 2 districts. We're the only orphanage, only rescue center within 2 districts. One thing they would like us to do is start a baby rescue center. We don't feel we're quite ready for that, and that is, we're close to Lake Victoria. And there are babies who are mothers give birth and they abandon their babies. And so they need a place for those babies to go. Right now, we don't feel we have the facility and the staffing to be able to do that because that takes a lot more. But just keep that in mind. If God ever puts it on somebody's heart, we're hoping that someday we'll be able to build that nursery for babies and have the staff come in and be able to do that. Yes, I think so. Anything else?
Yeah, do I need this microphone?
Do you want this one?
All right, and we got to stay in close.
Yeah. I have one.
We have been doing this since 2007, and the success God has brought there has been incredible in the lives of the children. We're going to show you a video in a little bit that kind of just brings that home. But God really started working on us, and He's changed our whole philosophy. It was very subtle, but it's huge. And we used to have like the girls coming up. We're in a very subsistence farming area, and Gaye would tell them, "Look, we're going to keep you healthy. We're going to give you food. We're going to give you nutrition, and we're going to get you an education. But do you have family somewhere else that we can send you? Because there's really nothing here for you except prostitution, which is not something they choose. It's just what you do as a woman in these rural areas. That's how you get fed. That's how you make your money. Or second wifehood, which is kind of the dowry and almost a slavery type system where they're given to the different clans to take care of. Well, we flipped that. God said, wait a minute, and I'll give you some examples of how He showed us that. But we realized that, again, it was the city on the hill, that no, we're teaching these kids the Christian core values, which run counter to the culture, what I call the culture of corruption that is so prevalent in third world countries and is really the reason they stay third world. And unfortunately, our country seems to be racing to third world status in so many ways. But that's a selfish culture. It's about me. And you can understand that when you're worried about getting food and survival, you're going to be putting you first. Well, in an organization, it becomes a lot of problems if everybody's working out for themselves instead of doing, like Jesus was, he washing the feet. He's a servant. We put other people before us. We have integrity, honesty. Well, in that environment, like our directors would never want to hire an assistant because they were afraid that the assistant would try to undermine them and take over their connection to the Western resources. The sad part was, it's true. That's what they do. From the bottom all the way top, and that's just this, it's all about me attitude. Well, we know Jesus kind of has a different thought on that, right? It's not about you. It's really about serving others and letting God do that through you. And so as we began to change that and realize as we were teaching these kids, this becomes one of our most important things, to be able to teach these kids these core values and to bring that in. And we had to, in order to teach the kids that, we also have to teach our staff that. And we realized that to avoid a lot of our problems, we need to get our staff, and we hire, fire, and promote based on how they live those core values. And I'm talking things like self-starting. I'm talking about integrity. I'm talking about looking out for other, basic Judeo-Christian values that we've been brought up in. Excuse me. And so then we have to get our staff doing that, and we realized in our organization, God showed us we're using a kind of an EOS system, where she says we have like the 4 managers. Well, what we do is we have these goals that we want to accomplish, and we break those down to what needs to happen in the next 90 days. So we live kind of try to live in a 90-day world. And we have those goals, and now the manager's job is to make sure that, and we break that down to like to-dos. So in the next 90 days, we need to accomplish these. With the school, national school, we said, okay, so in 5 years, if we're going to be a national level, these kids are going to have to be learning on the computer. They're going to have to be on the internet, right, in order to be competing with the world. And so, okay, I guess we're going to have to figure out how to get laptops there so they can have computers in an area where our kids don't even have enough books to study. And yet, God's given us success. He's making it work, and we have this huge graduation class, which is given that momentum. But then, all right, so now if we get computers, we need to have electricity to be able to run these computers. How can we do that? We need to hook the power grid. Do we get solar systems? And we break that down year to year and try to put it into a timeline. And so this last time we needed to find out if Kenya's curriculum had something. And they do. We have to adhere to Kenya rules, and their schools have programs. And guess what? They do have a computer type module that's optional, so we're getting that. We had to hire the teacher then to do that. We have to build now our next one is to try to get more laptops. We've been bringing those little by little, and to get a clean room, because when you're in this dirty environment, so in our new secondary we have an area, and so we're going to have to tile the floors and paint the walls, because that concrete dust will destroy computers. So this boils down to what we need to accomplish in the next 90 days. And so we try to set those goals up, and then our manager's job is to make sure that we're accomplishing those goals or finding the issues that might be preventing those to happen. Because the basic theory is if we go with this plan, then we have what we call our rocks. Those are the big things that we want to accomplish. National school. But what happens in our lives, because we're the same way, is it gets filled up with all the problems of the day, all the little things fills up your time up, and by the time you get to those big things, there's no more room in your day to accomplish them. So that's kind of the theory. And then we meet every week with these people, our managers directing, and we kind of keep in touch with that. And we're getting what they call traction. Things are happening. Things are moving, and we can see the results. So we're really, really excited about that. And as we get that more and more accomplished, then our teachers will become more, it's just really giving us a lot of momentum. We're starting to get huge results. And that 14 out of 20 kids may not sound much, but 5 years ago, there was one kid in the community that qualified for university, and he was a local hero. Everybody knew Moses had qualified for university. He even came up he wasn't from our school. He came up and then was working in our school district for that, in our classrooms for a while. But then we got 14 out of 22, I think it was, a huge percentage. And it's coming together. And we have a lot of work to do, from getting administrative programs, et cetera, into it. But we now have a system that helps us to avoid the corruption, that if you have one director who's in charge, power corrupts. And if they have all this power, they think they're kind of king and can do whatever they want. And now we no longer, we have that. We have the team. And again, we're setting the goals as a team. And then this director needs to take care of that part, this director that part, this director that part. So we're really, really excited about the results we're getting. And that intern program for these kids, that's no small deal either. They're teaching them, when he says life skills, they're teaching them how to operate business. They're teaching them, when you go to the university, how are you going to fund it? How are you going to get money? And they're giving them ways of buying lollipops and selling them at events, and doubling their money. And we've some of the kids have really taken hold of that. We have Nicholas, who's actually ended up taking that all the way to, he has people working for him. They're shining shoes. He's selling meduzzies. He even got a little kiosk within the, it's amazing what, now all of them can't do that, but this guy did grab hold. And so we're teaching them those skills, and not only that, but Fred goes through, and we had one person on our on our board who actually has a book on life skills, and he's come and trying to adapt that for some of the things. And we talk about the different personality types, how do you react, and just giving them skills they need out in the world. And we're like extremely excited. And on all fronts, we're seeing huge steps forward. Oh my gosh. Anyway, we'll talk more and be able to answer questions. But we're really, really excited about how this new approach is enabling us to get over the corruption and truly start creating a city on a hill, because as we work together, prosperity can come. There's a lot of low fruits, and then we can lift the whole place up. And so it's really, they're seeing results. Our chickens are we tried to do eggs before, and that was one of our stories.
I'm going to let us
Okay.
finish up here. We have a table over there. If you want to come over and ask any questions, or just if you want to look at it for a child to support, like I said, it starts at $25. That's not that much really for anybody to give these days. But consider it, because it does change a life. It truly changes a life. We have this is a video that you can watch. It's our closing one. The song is actually sung by our children's choir. The song is called My Beautifier, and it's really talking about Jesus, who takes our life when it's so ugly, and he makes us beautiful just like him. And that's how these children feel now. Do I need to start this, or do you? I'll start. Okay.
Sit by the speaker, or stand by so that they can hear the music too. Unless you're going to speak.
Okay.
Are you going to speak?
Over here?
Yeah, not too close because it will give us feedback. That should be good.
My beautifier, you've taken away the shame, you've taken away the pain. You made my life so beautiful. My beautifier,
Oh, he's saying where you can find us at shalomchristianmissions.org. You can find our website there. You can find us on Facebook and follow us if you want to see what's going on. We post pictures on a regular basis. So thank you very much.